Hello, this is Molly Reamer with 30 Days of Goddess and Bridget's Grove, welcoming you to December, our December's practice. And our theme for this month is Deepen. It is a continuation of November's theme, which was Discover. So they're holding hands, discover and deepen, deepen and discover. So we're going to actually revisit some of the questions and concepts from November's practice as we continue to deepen into, as we continue to sink into, as we consider to contemplate and question and steep in our own magic and our own wisdom. So some of the questions will feel familiar because these are themes that are holding hands this month. So before we dive into this month's theme, I would like to invite you to settle into yourself, call your spirit back into your body, into where you are right now, settling into this moment and starting where your feet are. So I have a practice-oriented poem to share with you. I called this a ritual of patience and discovery. So it's kind of a guided poem experience, and I wanted to start with that today. So welcoming you in, welcoming you to start where your feet are, tuning in to the magic of your own landscape in your own place, calling your spirit back, calling yourself home, settling right here, right now, and preparing to deepen. We remember and forget. We forget and we remember. We get off track and distracted. We step out of sync with the sacred. We lose touch with desire. We forget to start where our feet are and daydream of being better without actually beginning. Today, I urge you to drop inward and listen. Let yourself sense the sweet song of your own approval echoing in your bones. Take a deep breath and feel the pleasure of being alive in this moment suffuse you. Extend your awareness. Discover what the land you live on is teaching you right now. Drop into that message, the sunlight or the shadows, the frost or the stars. Let yourself taste the drops of your own knowing that rise to the surface when you allow yourself to steep in silence. Be gentle with your heart. Be patient with your humanness. Grant yourself space and grace to exist untethered, expansive, whole, and free. Rest one hand against your heart and one hand against your belly. Say aloud, I am open to joy. I am open to ease. I am open to delight. I am open to discovery. I am patient with my own pace. I grant myself time. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking part in 30 Days of Goddess, whether this is your first day or whether you have been with us for 3 years and counting. You are welcome here. There's a space for you. A quick reminder that all of your printables and practice resources are available for you at 30daysofgoddess.com. And I also welcome you to join our Goddess Magic devotional community where you'll get all kinds of expansions, including amazing ritual practice guidebooks for the month full of magic and seasonal wisdom and enchantment at the patreon.com/goddessmagic. So there are 2 ways to participate. One is free at 30daysofgoddess.com, and then the expanded edition is available via patreon.com/goddessmagic. So, as I noted, we're going to deepen into some of the themes and ideas that we spoke of in the November video. And so one of the things I really want to bring you back to is what happens when you start where your feet are. What is happening where your feet are right now? So for me, the goldenrod has all gone to seed and it dusts the field with these white puffs that make the whole field look frosted with white enchantment. It's really great background for goddess pictures in the winter because it has this frosty look no matter what. So that's one of the things that I notice when I start where my feet are. What are you discovering if you start where your feet are? The other thing that I wanted to bring us back to is the sweet song of our own approval that I referenced briefly in the November video that concept that I had shared a story about saying to Mark, like, the sweet song of approval is what I love to hear. And then I thought, what is the sweet song of my own approval? And so I have some poems about the sweet song of our own approval that I would like to share with you today. And they are just a second, let me find them in my notes. Yes, this is a good one. We may find we feel hesitant or tentative, wondering or afraid. May we put our ears down close to our souls and listen hard. May we return, that's an Anne Sexton quote, may we return to center over and over again as often as it takes, even when it feels hard to remember. May we trust ourselves even while we feel shaky and uncertain. May we hear the sweet song of our own approval echoing in our bones, and let it be enough. So one of the other questions that I want to come back to, and then I have another sweet song of our own approval poem, is that what I'm asking you to consider what you need as you deepen into this season, as we descend into this dark part of the year. What do you need to keep your magic strong and bright? What do you need to prepare for your descent? What do you need to deepen and renew? And the other question is what if you actually give yourself what you need and what you crave? What if you actually let yourself have what you want deep down, what you truly want, not what advertisers or messages elsewhere or books tell you, but what do you know with that sweet song echoing in your bones? What do you truly want, and can you allow yourself to have it? And if you can't allow yourself to have all of it, what small moment, what small step could you take towards allowing yourself to have it? I find that when I take the time to listen, when I exist out untethered, when I step outside of the company of other minds, I always know what I need. I always know what's next. I remember that I am the site of my own liberation, that I'm my own sacred space. And I find that when I take the pause to listen, I always know what I need. But letting myself act on what I hear, letting myself have that, is sometimes a much deeper challenge. So that is one of the questions to return to again this month. Maybe it is a question of a lifetime. Maybe it is a work of a lifetime. And maybe it's not a question that you identify with. Maybe you have a different experience walking in this world, and that's okay too. But let yourself listen to that sweet song of your own approval, and let yourself deepen into the question of what is it that you really want, and can you allow yourself to have it? What is it that you really need, and can you allow yourself to have that? So here is the other sweet song of our own approval poem. Sometimes we need to remember that the sweet song of approval we long to hear can come from our own lips. Sometimes we need to know that the bright beacon of hope we long to see can shine from our own eyes. Sometimes we need to realize the softer touch of nurturing we long to feel can come from our own fingertips. Sometimes we need to know that the pause of renewal we long to take, the deep breath of grace we long to inhale, can be granted by our own selves right now. Sometimes we understand that this sensation of freedom we long to taste is on our own tongues and skimming across our own shoulders. Sometimes we sense that we already have what we need, and so cheering ourselves onward, we find ourselves taking tentative yet purposeful steps in the direction we wish to go. No more waiting for someday or wishing for permission. Here we are, our own power recollected and guiding our way. So one of the things I like to remember, or what I wanted to re-offer, is a quote that I shared in our winter, whoa, my stuff's falling out, our winter, treasures falling out all over, our winter wisdom book is, excuse me, I'm gonna pick up my fallen treasures, and is the quote from Sue Monk Kidd in the book First Light, where she says, "It was excruciatingly easy to lose touch with the inner life of the soul. There was such a profusion of demand and complexity, so many to-do lists, the unceasing compulsion to accomplish something. When I read that the Chinese pictograph for busyness is heart-killing, I felt the truth of that in my bones. In the midst of this struggle to care for my soul, I read Wordsworth's poem, The Prelude, in which he writes about spots of time that nourish and repair the soul. I believe he was referring to brief, concentrated moments, little epiphanies that inflame us with a sense of the holy. I began to search for spots of time here and there in my day. I found them by stopping, just stopping. I began to come away to a nook somewhere in the house or yard where I would spend 5 minutes or less sitting still and receding into that quiet core of myself. Caring for my soul turned out to be simply that, spots of time in which to be. So when you take time, I really wish to encourage you to take those spots of time, to seek those spots of time, to find those spots of time. 30 Days of Goddess literally is all about creating those spots of time and helping them move into priority for us, helping them permeate throughout our days. That's what it's about, these spots of time. Doesn't have to, one of the things I say is it doesn't have to be a moment of flash and fire. It doesn't have to be grand and glorious. It's these spots of time that suffuse our lives with magic, meaning, grace, and presence. And so one of the things I find is that when we take small time every single day without fail to tend to our own needs, to take care of ourselves and to pay attention to the invitation that's offered each day to step into the sacred and to keep company with the holy, to breathe the breath of grace, things heal. Our fragments come back together. Our minds calm. Our lives become, if for a moment, easier and more full of joy. And it doesn't have to take very much to give ourselves what we need. So let's bring that into center. Let's bring that into the front of our lives. Let's decide that we're worth it. We're worth those spots of time. So that's one of the things that you'll hear me refer to this a couple of times. I've spoken about it during our Monday lives that I do in our Goddess Magic Facebook group, but I've also spoken it in our weekly ritual videos, is that something that I keep coming back to, and this is kind of related to this spots of time idea, is that a life is lived in 15-minute increments. From 15-minute decisions, a whole life is made. And 15 minutes is just a metaphor. It can be 5, it can be 1, it can be 20, but a life is made of 15-minute increments, of 15-minute decisions. And sometimes I know that I will have a tendency, I do a lot of things, I'm very energetic, I have a lot of things that I care about. People ask me for a lot of things, and I often find myself thinking, and this is why I say it's a metaphor, because it's not strictly 15 minutes. Our lives are made step by step, breath by breath, moment by moment, pause by pause. I mean, right here, each moment is its own moment. But as far as choices and deciding, I'm going to do this thing, it should take about 15 minutes. That's kind of what I'm talking about, is I'll think, sure, I can do that. That'll probably take me about 15 minutes. Yes, I can work on that. That'll take me about a half an hour. Sure, I'll do that. That'll take me about an hour. I tend to chronically underestimate the time that it actually takes me to do things. Well, at the same time, I can be really superhuman in my ability to get things done quickly. I can work really fast. I can do a lot of things, and I can produce a lot in a short amount of time. But even so, I have a tendency to chronically underestimate the time it will take and overestimate really essentially my own capacity to be superhuman and to do all the things. And so then that creates this kind of always this kind of constant low level sensation of either not being caught up or not doing enough, even though I do a lot and I take care of a lot. And so kind of a low level sensation of like needing to do more or to hurry up or to catch up, etc. And I think some of that, there's a whole bunch of things we could get into there. Like some of that's cultural, some of that's socialization, some of that is living in a digital age where there's always more to keep up with. We literally cannot, it is not humanly possible to keep up with everything that asks for our attention. So no wonder we feel kind of scattered and fragmented and distracted and like we're not keeping up, because it's actually physiologically, neurologically impossible to keep up with everything that's thrown at us every day from the media, from social media, from our communication devices, all those things. We literally cannot keep up. And so no wonder we have this low level, low grade kind of sensation of not keeping up, because we're actually not, because it's not possible. And I find that really, when I can remember that, I find that really liberating. It feels really liberating to be like, wow, I can't keep up because I have one brain and two hands, and life is accelerated to the pace that it asks for more than I can physiologically actually do. And that's speaking of someone who is relatively able-bodied. I do have some chronic health things and some autoimmune disorders and things like that, but relatively able-bodied, relatively mentally healthy, stable, economically stable. I don't even have any like external stressors really. And so if you compound that with all the not being able to keep up physiologically with the other types of limitations that people experience, it's like, no wonder we feel a little strapped. No wonder we feel a little strapped. And so I really have been finding that helpful to think of my life in 15-minute increments, and to think actually these 15 minutes do really matter. And I want more 15 minutes that are more for margin, more margin for magic, more pausing, more restoration, more contemplation, more sitting and looking at the field, more watching the deer, more listening for the crows, and less filling up the margins thinking it's only going to take me 15 minutes. So thinking about that concept that a life is lived in 15 minutes, of 15 minutes, a life is made. And you can adjust that to what speaks to you, 20 minutes, a half an hour, 5 minutes, whatever. But this idea that our lives are made in those moments. And so it does, if somebody asks you to do something that's only going to take about 15 minutes, you actually still need to think about that. You actually still need to evaluate whether that is a good choice for you or not, even if it is only 15 minutes or half an hour, etc. And so one of the things I was thinking about with that is a poem that I wrote about, coming back to our bodies to listen to what we need, and those soul seconds, all this kind of stuff is related. So I wanted to read that to you as well. Our bodies know what we need. They hold our own limits and our own learning, and they speak through how we feel. Our choices land in our bodies. Some constrict, some liberate. Our desires land in our bodies, communicating in warmth and expansion, rightness and satisfaction. Our plans land in our bodies. Some light us up, exhilarate us. Others feel heavy and tired. Our bodies are our doorways to the sacred, to our own knowing, to our own inner wisdom. Each day, over and over again, we are invited to pause, to drop into ourselves, to listen, to choose from a place of center, a place of wholeness. We are invited to reach out to the sacred and to discover she is right here within us all along, patiently guiding our way. Our bodies are our own oracles, our own wisdom keepers, our own teachers and guides. They are dwelling places for the sacred and homes for the infinite, these conduits of the holy wherever we go. And so one of the things I wanted to share too is a concept that I got from Alexis Cohen, which was, she used the phrase reverse spreading yourself thin. So instead of being spread too thin, the reverse of spreading yourself thin, reverse spreading yourself thin. And that is what I really feel like we are here to create together. That's what I feel like 30 Days of Goddess encourages, nurtures, and supports, is the reverse of spreading yourself thin. It's filling yourself up. It's calling yourself back together. It's gathering your own wholeness. It's dropping in. It's restoring. It's replenishing. It's the reverse of spreading yourself thin. And then I did also want to briefly touch on our goddess of the month, who's the Kaliak, Ankaliak. And she is here with a winter message of restoration. And so I had a couple of poems that go with her. I had a really profound experience last year with what I called the bone mother, or the bone woman, the crone of winter. I had a dream in which she came to me and spoke and said, "Blessed be the bone mothers." And then I had a whole series of poems that I wrote from some of those experiences, from that sensation of the crone of winter. I have an article about it that I'll link to that was on feminism religion that I'll share that for you. And it is, let me see where it is. Oh, so I have two. Yeah, so one of these things that, so I talk about cave time a lot in the winter. And one of the messages that came to me from this bone mother was, see that cave you've said you crave. See that cave you've said you crave. Like, step into it. Like, don't keep making excuses. Go ahead and give yourself what you need. So here's one of the bone woman poems. Here, welcome to this place of peace and unfamiliar softness. There is no need to worry. that laying aside pushing and performing, pleasing and producing will dull your edges or leach the color from your living. Your joy gives you color too, and each person who breathes more deeply helps the world breathe too. See that cave you've said you crave, settle into it and stop doing more for a spell. Intuit next steps and new colors here in the waiting place. The long, slow darkness where you can feel how quiet lives and speaks. Here, take a breath and then another. There is no need to be good or to try too hard. Intuit a truth beating here. It doesn't have to be a strain to experience beauty and to live in magic. There is no need to hurt yourself anymore. So may we take in that message. May we breathe it in and let it resonate deep within us as that sweet song of our own approval. And so I had a couple more things to share. One of the things that I've been added to this question is the notion of what are you hungry for? So that ties back to what we need. I got the question from the Kitchen Witch Companion, and with the notion of what are we hungry for, and can we grant ourselves the sustenance that we crave? See that cave we've said we crave? What are we hungry for? What do we crave, and can we give it to ourselves? And so let's see. I had other questions to revisit, but this is getting kind of long already. How are we keeping it simple and sacred? Are you open to play and delight? Are you allowing yourself joy? What do you need to keep it simple and sacred? And I wanted to share this poem from Donna Ashworth from her book, Wild Hope, You Are Nature. And this brings us back to that landscape and starting where your feet are. There is a reason why walking amongst nature is most people's best advice when depression strikes, because walking in nature is a return to home. You are not a lover of nature or a fan of nature. You are nature. You are as much nature as the trees in your garden or the bees on your picnic. You were designed to live your days out in the wild with your fellow creatures and plants, but progress, humanity had different plans for us all. And so we exist day to day in our homes, but never home. The quickest route back to the self, to inner peace, is bare feet on grass, arms around trees, head in the clouds, and heart in a forest. Put your bones in water whenever you can. Smell each flower you see and crumble dirt between your tired of typing fingers. You are nature. Go home once in a while. It will bring you much you didn't even know you were missing. And so I thought that was important to remember, thinking about starting where your feet are and what your own landscape is teaching you right now. And so I have one more. I'm trying to keep this under 30 minutes. And I had one more poem to share, the Winter's Crone poem, as a reminder as we close out. So I have one poem and then a closing prayer. So here we go. This is a prayer I originally wrote for solstice, but it's a winter's crone poem. Winter's crone, cave tender, cauldron keeper, mother of time, guide us into stillness, into a time of deep rest and reflection. Unwind our knots and soothe our scurrying. Remind us how to listen, how to be still, how to turn inward and know. Remind us not to fear darkness, for it is time of necessary patience and growth. Help us to celebrate the cycles of change through which we move, honoring the fallow times and the flourishing times as equally essential for life. Bone woman, great mother of us all, quiet our wondering and our worries, gentle our grief and soften our sorrow. Crone of winter, hold us quiet in your embrace. Remind us that we belong here too, in this time of darkness and rest, restoration, and rebirth. So recognizing the irony here that I feel rushed, like I need to hurry up and finish this video. That is what we are deepening into, is the spots of time, the time of rest and restoration in which we do not get it all done, in which we lay some things aside unfinished, in which we do not say everything we were going to say and share everything we are going to share, but we pause and we recognize that it is okay to let some things rest. We can deepen into ourselves. We can let some things go. We can listen to that sweet song of our own approval. We can listen to how choices land in our bodies and resonate in our hearts. And we can pause. We can stop. We can be still for a moment in the deepness of this season. And so inviting you to rest a hand against your heart, maybe another hand against your belly, and take a deep breath. Right here in your time, in this place. And a final closing prayer that I hope you will carry with you into this month. We are here to gather and here to tend. We are here to recollect ourselves, to deepen into the heart and to strengthen into trust. We are here to choose with care and act with love. We are here to be here in this soft and fierce reclamation of our own lives. So may you deepen this month into the soft and fierce reclamation of your own life. Thank you so much for being here. Happy solstice, happy winter. May you deepen and renew. Thanks so much for being here. Keep living your magic. Bye-bye.